I want to talk briefly about some different types of watercolor and different ways that watercolor comes. One of the most well-known is probably this way in this kind of palette or tray. In this case, their lid is clear, so I would recommend putting a piece of white paper underneath so that if you're mixing your colors in the lid, you get a true understanding of what the color is. I also have these little watercolor palettes that I got from the Art Institute of Chicago. Those are very similar to the pans that I have here in this Crayola set. You may have watercolor tubes. This is actually gouache, but I do have some watercolor ones in here too. These are great because the pigment's going to be a little bit higher quality. The important thing with these is to make sure that you're using enough water so that they actually look like watercolors and not thick paint. So I typically put these into kind of a tray that I have. I have a couple trays kind of started here. If you have a white plate, that would also work, a ceramic plate. And the nice thing about these is that you can reactivate this at any point. I can go in and continue to use these by just adding some water to those different colors. So it's part of why they're so messy, because they've been used over and over and over again. And then the last thing that you might have, we do have at school, that you guys are welcome to use, is a liquid watercolor. And these are nice. They're fairly inexpensive from Dick Blick. Not that you should buy any, but you get a lot of paint for the price. And again, I can add this into my trays or onto a plate, and I can let it dry and I can reactivate it just the same as if I mixed colors in the lid of one of my trays. I can leave it to dry if I needed to and come back and reactivate with more water. With your brushes, if you have any, the soft acrylic brushes are the best for working with watercolor, although it's not a requirement. Use what you have. I typically like to have a larger flat brush and then as many smaller brushes that I can find in order to have a variety of different techniques. You're going to want some kind of a cup for water. You're going to want maybe an old rag or paper towels. And then some other things that you might want to find, and I'm going to show you how to use some of these with some different techniques, would be some salt, if you have a salt shaker. Crayons are fun to work with watercolor because we can do some resist. So I found a white crayon here. Plastic wrap is also kind of fun to play with. Some tissues. And then also the last thing would probably be like masking tape so that you can do some resist work that way. So again, just fun things to play with, to experiment with, to get you guys thinking about different ways that you can use watercolor.